My name's Peter Pinto. We're with Be Seen Solutions. We'd like to welcome everybody today to our first edition of Staffing and Recruiting During COVID. It's been a challenging year, saying it modestly, for all of us, but I'm thankful and appreciative that today we have an all-star cast in the recruiting and staffing space of professionals throughout the country who are managing through these times, doing a phenomenal job running their businesses and their units, and are here today to provide feedback and insight into what it takes to be successful through the COVID-19 pandemic and beyond. On that note, I'd like to introduce our professionals, and from there, get right into our Q&A. So we first have Jonathan Wu. Jonathan, can you tell us a little bit about your firm and where you're located and what you specialize in?
Yeah, definitely. So number one, the key to success, as you guys can see, monster. Anyway, so again, I'm John Wu. I'm with MedTech Search Consultants. So a little bit about my background is, I started off in sales personally, went the whole B2B route into medical device sales. So I do enjoy taking a lot of candidates through the same kind of transition and to be successful. I'm combined here with Chris Bell. He comes from an IT background. So mostly what we've tried to do as a firm is combine, medical device sales with IT and do an all-in-one specialty for companies so they have one solution under one roof.
Awesome. Where are you located, Jonathan?
So we're out of Tampa.
Out of Tampa, Florida. All right. Well, nice weather there, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah. Well, thank you for that. And I'm looking forward to learning more today. And next we have Jessica Peskin, Global Recruiters of Denver. She's the president and CEO.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Be Seen folks, Peter and Pat. And Jonathan, I'm a former Floridian too. I grew up in the Tampa Bay area, Clearwater gal right here. I'm Jessica Peskin. I am president of Global Recruiters of Denver, and we're a recruiting firm working nationally in the property and casualty insurance space with a little bit of financial services as well. So I have a 20+ year career in P&C myself. So chances are the roles that I'm working on, I've either managed or been in myself. So that certainly helps me to really get into the deep discovery. Personally, in my free time, I like to collect cars, way too many houseplants, and I'm known to rank tacos for deliciousness as well. So.
Well, that's great, Jessica. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. And I'm interested in the taco recipe.
I've got plenty.
We following up, Jessica. We have another GRN owner and president CEO, William Awad. William, please, thank you for joining, and appreciate you taking the time.
Hey, thanks, Peter, and thanks to the BC team. This should be great fun. I am Bill Awad. I'm the president and owner for Global Recruiters of Dublin. We're a small office, multi-practice, multi-specialty, and right now, I'm looking for my glass slippers because I'm a wounded Cleveland Browns fan. But I thought Cinderella was going to potentially deliver this coming weekend, but I'll recover from that. Anyway, we have specialties in the medical device space. We have practices around quality and regulatory affairs, sales and marketing talent, also operations and operations improvement, and then also I'm drawing a blank. Supply chain is our fourth practice area, and then myself, I spend time in the executive recruiting space within the industry.
Awesome, thank you, Bill. Appreciate it, and appreciate you taking the time. And sorry about the Browns. They look great, though.
It's all right. It's the best record in quite some time. So you know what? We'll celebrate where they got this year, and we won't say anything about the Eastern Conference of the National Football Conference at this point.
No need to. No need to. It's painful enough.
Hey, Tampa Bay's taking over, baby.
That's right, Chris. That's right.
They are. I'm a Bucs fan too.
Oh, there you go.
Well, Chris, on that note, Chris Bell, please. I know you're partners with Jonathan, but we'd love to hear about where you focus and what you're doing.
So, CEO of MedTech Search Consultants. We specialize in IT. We specialize in sales. We have different divisions that we can actually help out with. We've been growing like weeds lately. I came from a background where I started a division for Robert Half. from 0 to 18 million in 3 years. Did their infrastructure and EMR division. It was national practice, and just trying to make sure that we get to the same point personally as I did professionally.
Well, awesome. Well, we hope to help you get there. Everyone does, for sure. So, and finally, we have George Santiago. George, love to hear from you, and thank you as well for joining.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here with some people in the business. I work for a company called Fightin' Talent Advisors. We rebranded last year, so probably not a common name that's out there, but we've been in business for about 10 years now. I've been in the industry for just over 22 years myself. I'm a managing director, and I oversee all their corporate services, hiring, anything from administrative assistants, HR professionals, as well as accounting and legal and compliance professionals as well. We staff both for contract employment and direct hire nationally as well as internationally. We have an office in London, and it's been explosive the last 2 weeks, and hoping it continues, and hoping you guys are seeing the same. But otherwise, I guess we'll get right into the conversation now.
Yeah. So you know what? On that note, George, you kind of brought up the rear of everyone's introductions, and why don't you kind of start us off with COVID and how you guys have been navigating through, and what you're seeing, and what you could what insight you could give to a candidate, and what you look for in a client that that could be helpful for everyone.
Sure. Myself personally, I'm more on the client side. I have a team of recruiters that work on the roles that we have. So I'm really more speaking with our clients in regards to how we are adjusting to these times. I think if you're not adjusting, you're not in business. I think that goes for any business that you're in, and doing what we're doing now. This is really the name of the game right now. It's scheduling Zoom calls, team calls, educating our clients that they need to be flexible with candidates working from home. Obviously, that's a must. That does provide an additional new challenge that we haven't seen in the past. Again, finding individuals who are responsible enough to work from home and be effective. Again, these are very challenging times, unlike any other. And that's just the new obstacle that we've had to face, is identifying individuals who are responsible enough to be at their desk and work. We've run into some challenges over the last couple of months where candidates go MIA. Client reaches out to me, we haven't seen this person in 3 hours, they haven't been online. Those types of situations are new challenges that we're experiencing. So it's just a different type of managing your employees now. It's just different conversations, but hope that gives you an idea of what we're experiencing, and I'll leave it to others as well to expand on that.
Yeah, it does. And Jessica, being close on the West Coast, what are you seeing, right? Because we're all scattered all over the country, so interested to see what's going on out there.
Well, I think George hit the nail on the head just about being flexible. So I'm working with both clients and candidates, and that message is very similar to both channels, to say, I think it comes down to, we got to give each other a little grace right now. I don't know about you guys, but every time I start a conference call, my landscaping company shows up. And as somebody who has Amazon visiting me about every 45 minutes, the doorbell's ringing. So I think grace is an important piece to coach both sides on, to say, not everyone, to George's point, is someone who is driven to work from home. Not everybody has that self-starting gene. That doesn't mean they're not a great hire and they're somebody who takes direction really well. And back when we get to our new normal, maybe they'll be absolutely fantastic in an office space. So I think just, giving some space for kids, pets, spouses, whatever it may be that's happening in the background, recognize that that isn't necessarily the status quo of that client. It's not the status quo of that candidate, but giving each other a little bit of that grace. I think it also allows for deeper connections. So when we're giving each other a little space like that, the conversation becomes more organic. People are more approachable. So, talking about those type of things and getting them out into the open is something I encourage, especially my clients, to do at the beginning of video interviews. make sure your candidates know, hey, it's okay if the doorbell rings. Don't get knocked off your game. We're still going to be fine in our conversation. So I think that's the biggest piece of advice I can give from the scenarios that George is kind of talking to. Clients are expressing a lot of need for guidance in the onboarding stages. Is something else that I'm hearing a lot. You know, what's the best way to stay connected, show your culture of your organization, and really give that new employee an idea of what it's like to walk your halls and be part of that culture. So I have a really great client who's doing something I think is fantastic. They're doing virtual tours of the building. So for those people that are going to eventually come and work in office, you know, what does the lunchroom look like? Where's my desk? What does that look like? What's its proximity to the bathroom? Things like that, I think, are interesting to be able to add to your onboarding. And they add value. It gives that employee a real feel for what it's like to be part of your org.
Yeah, excellent. Really appreciate that, Jessica. Very, very insightful. Thank you. Thank you for that. Bill, what do you think? What are you seeing out in the Ohio area?
Yeah, thanks, Peter. You know, I was just reflecting on Jessica's comments and some of the opening comments that folks have shared, and you know, the phrase that keeps coming is people are looking to hear what. I guess the advantage to me is we talk to a lot of people in a lot of different areas of the country, right? So you get these multiple perspectives coming in, and typically the entry point on most of our conversations these days are, what are you hearing? And what are you hearing around the industry? What are you seeing in terms of trends? And frankly, it's a two-way conversation. So the sharing of a lot of information and that. So, you know, I think you have to be open to the conversation and frankly, you know, be prepared to, you know, really pay attention to what's going on from an industry perspective. I think the other piece that caught me in the conversations is, you know, how do you supplement a high touch, right? You have less of the physical touch. And so how are you going to use the virtual touch components? Similar to Jessica's comments, we've had several clients that have engaged in, you know, digital tours, if you will, and that, right? And, you know, on a high touch perspective, we've had to help coach the folks that are leading the tour on how to do a digital tour and that, right? Never saw myself as a digital tour guide and that, right? But we've actually developed a bit of a prep for our clients to help them prepare for how to do that the right way to engage a client. Because actually, you know, that digital tour, hopefully it's far enough in the process, but done poorly, frankly, you can de-energize the candidate, and then all of a sudden you're doing a lot of recovery work on the candidate side in terms of organizations putting their best foot forward. But you have to be listening for that and preparing both sides, you know, both the client and the candidate for what to expect and how to do that.
So to your point, right, showing culture and brand is huge now for candidates because of the fact that they want to, you know, get a feel for what they're getting themselves into, right? And you know, organizations have to be creative in doing that and making sure they're clear in their messaging. No question.
Yeah, we're finding, you know, start dates aren't a pure thing. You know, physical tours versus virtual tours, you know, take a little time. And so, you know, it's really, really high touch and that, right? Really coaching our clients and frankly, assisting our clients because depending on where we're at and which client we're dealing with, they've downsized some staff potentially over the last year. And so we're supplementing some of the activity that they would have done traditionally internal to their organization. So best piece I can put on it is we're operating in a high touch mode.
Great. Well, thank you, Bill. We appreciate that. Chris, you know, please, we'd love to hear from you and Jonathan as well. So, you know, I know you guys are in the same company, but obviously you have different strategies with things.
Well, I think John and myself kind of agree. We've actually, you know, we've lost obviously a lot of revenue due to COVID, but at the same token, we've taken this time as an avenue to regrow. You know, we know that a lot of our competitors have probably sat back, said, woe is me, we're not going to do anything, we've lost our clients, blah, 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 cried. And we've taken it as a positive and said, hey, you know what? We're going to go strong. We know that there's still people hiring out there. We want to make sure that our clients have the access to these people, and they have access to a bench of, qualified people as soon as they start hiring again. So we haven't taken it as a negative. We've taken it as a positive. Was it a negative? Yes, but I think, and John, you can talk to this. We've taken it as, you know what? Fine. We lost this. We're going to gain this. And this is how we're going to do this, because we are going to move forward and get our clients and get new clients, the people that they need. And by the way, a lot of people got laid off that are actually very good, qualified candidates. We can take them and move them to another organization.
Got it. Jonathan, would you like to add something to that?
I mean, really just, what we've been seeing is a lot of organizations who have been like financially stable throughout this have been actually hiring more people than normal, because like Chris said, some companies did have the major layoffs and they were able to capitalize on that. But the biggest tip that I can give to any candidate who is looking right now is, again, put aside the negatives, focus on the results. There's a lot of opportunities out there. There are dream opportunities. However, if you want a dream opportunity, be willing to put in the work. So, I mean, definitely go get your resume professionally done. Find companies that actually look like a good culture fit, that fit your background, that you think you have an honest shot at getting. So, I mean, the more qualified opportunities that candidates can put themselves in front of with the right resume, with the right preparation, the more successful they're going to be. However, if they just, shoot out the resume to every job under the sun, of course, out of 300 jobs, you might get 10 responses. And of course, that's discouraging. So do your research up front, be prepared, be strategic, and you will be successful.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you for that.
And with that being said, we have seen so many people that have horrible resumes. They need to reach out to us for help on their resumes. I mean, we see resumes from people that work for companies like ours, and they have no idea what they're doing.
So taking the guidance of the recruitment and staffing professional in setting up the proper layout of a resume and positioning themselves. Yeah.
We had what, John, 2 clients that were recruiting companies that we worked for, that they reached out to us to get salespeople. And these salespeople worked for recruiting companies, and their resumes were absolutely awful. They had 0 numbers, 0 results. All they did was the normal. Oh, I reached out to 100 people a day. I had 10 meetings per week, blah, blah. All the crap that nobody cares about. Literally, your resume could say, I made President's Club 4 years in a row. I had 40 starts per year, and then just send it to us. That's a better resume than what 90% of the resumes we get.
Good to know. Thank you for that, Chris.
It's
that was
unbelievable.
insightful. Thank you. As we kind of get towards the end of this session, if there's anything that someone feels is an additional message that you'd want to get out there to, whether it be a candidate or a client, please, now's the time. And maybe Jessica, if you want to kick that off, and then we could kind of go just around, that would be, I think, helpful.
Sure. Well, just to jump off Chris and John's point about the resumes, a lot of what you're saying resonates with me. And something that I tell candidates all the time is understand who your audience is, and know what your skills are to make sure that you're presenting what's relevant. I talk with candidates sometimes who might have a myriad of skills in their background and have held a variety of different positions in different business units. Well, that's great, but the person who is leading sales doesn't necessarily care about the person in my world who might be a claims adjuster. So both of those, backgrounds are relative, but understand who your audience is and speak to that. The other point I wanted to make that I think is so important for clients right now, and I think this is industry agnostic, no matter where you sit, what business you're in today, COVID had some sort of an effect on your business.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be a negative effect, but we had to pivot. We all learned that we could still help our customers from pretty much anywhere. There's a lot of positives that came out of this. I think it's a really important time to be able to highlight that story about your organization. So how did your organization pivot? What did you do? How long did it take you to go from in-office environment to jump over into a work from home? Set those expectations not only with your current employee base, but also candidates. Hey, kind of like, hey guys, this is what it's going to look like as we're remote for the next X months. But once we get back into the office, it's going to change like this. So I think the better that people can set up that expectation for what they're going to need to do to pivot differently and tell the story about how your organization changed in COVID. Again, I think it drives organic conversation. It shows that your culture is one of understanding and discovery and wanting to learn and adapt.
Wow. Well, thank you, Jessica. That was awesome. Thank you.
I'd like to expand on what Jessica said for a second. I think that looking at each of your organizations and knowing that you're all unique within yourselves, you're not a jack of all trades. You're not a convenience store that sells not the best of everything, but everything. Do what you do best and focus on your targeted segmented audiences, because they come to you for direction. They come to you for advice. You don't want to be the guy on the corner that says, well, I have this under this arm and I have this under this arm and I could sell you whatever I want. You want to be able to be focused. And that's kind of the main reason when Peter put this together, we've got all different divisions from different staffing firms, different recruiting firms, different executive search firms. You're all not targeting the same audience, and you're all not targeting every audience.
Right.
So in this COVID time, do what you do best, specialize on your audience.
Yeah, great message, Patrick. Thank you. Thank you. Bill, would you like to, add anything to that?
Yeah, thanks. I think Pat's point's a good reminder for all of us, right? It is really easy to get distracted and, go a little bit of a field, right? And I think to the point of adaptation, right? I loved Chris's comments about using this opportunity to not be afraid of it and to lean into it and go at it, frankly, aggressively, to understand where those markets are moving to and how do you develop those new relationships, right? And I do think as part of that, for us, I know internally, it's been critical for us to understand with metrics, where are we making progress? Where are we actually connecting with people? Where do the opportunities lie? And then frankly, being able to make a quick enough decision that, hey, we went exploring, if you will, on a new opportunity or a new potential area of the business development. But at some point in time, you got to cut it off and kind of say, okay, what's the data telling us? Are we being successful? And if not there, then look for that next target opportunity. So I think as you go through this, right, staying focused on how you're going to measure your progress and really make a determination on when and where to move and how much are you going to invest on that exploration before you decide, hey, it's time to move on to something new. But totally agree with the comments. You got to lean into it. Now's the time. The opportunity's there. Step down on the gas pedal really hard right now because there's a lot of opportunity out there.
Okay. Thank you, Bill. That was great. Thank you for sharing. Really appreciate it. And then George, if you wouldn't mind giving us a little insight, that would be great.
And if you wouldn't mind just repeating your exact question, only because as you said it, my two boys came in and started doing karate and I got distracted. So my apologies.
No worries. If it just, providing any sort of guidance to candidates or even, clients out there during this time, if you had to give them any insight into something that would be helpful, what would you say it is?
Yeah, and obviously I just, heard Jessica and William's, comments. I'm from the client side. And again, it's definitely, like Jessica mentioned, pivoting. We did a great job of that this past year. Many of our verticals took a serious hit. My business specifically, the admin and HR world, hiring went to complete zero. So I shifted into more compliance and finance and accounting types of business with my clients, and that really helped me get through this past year. And really, it's from a candidate perspective, tying to what Jonathan was saying earlier. Really, yes, you have to try to pivot. How do you do that if you've been niche for 10, 15 years, right? Like Jonathan said, tailor your resume, do your research on the jobs that are out there, do your research on the firms that are out there, making sure you're not just throwing up your resume to any job that's out there. You got to be smart and strategic and aggressive. To William's point, this job hunt is not easy. It's a full-time job. You really got to stay on it every single day, all day. It's really, that's the times that we've seen this past year. Again, as I mentioned earlier, the last 2 weeks have been incredible in terms of the activity. Hopefully that's a sign for things to come. But yeah, for this past year, it was extremely challenging for many individuals that I've spoken to. So it's just, really in these times, it's showing you're adaptive, you're able to adapt, showing that you're engaged. I think, making sure you look your best, it might sound silly. I know I make it a point now when I'm speaking to my clients and even new introductions. I've had several this week. I'm making sure I'm doing a Teams call or a Zoom call. I want them to know, since I can't go to their office, I want them to see me and, get to know who I am and make it a little more personal. You really got to do everything possible to market yourself, to get your name out there, get in front of, have people know who you are. As Patrick mentioned earlier, we all have our own individual characteristics that make us, successful in this business. And really, I think it's a people business, clearly, and being in front of your clients and also speaking to your candidates face to face. You build a rapport. You're going to have a lot more buy-in with your candidates if you build a relationship with them. Instead of everything on text or email, they're more apt to ghost you eventually. But it's all about relationships, and I think that's what you got to push forward and just work hard and keep your head down. That's really my best advice I can give.
Thank you, George. We appreciate it. And thank everybody for today. If there's one message that it sounds like everybody's saying, it's that, we're all in these challenging waters in our own boat, and it's how we navigate through those waters to the other side. And each of you have shared your own stories and your own thoughts and expertise. And I just want to thank you all for taking the time. Obviously, everybody's busy. There's a lot going on, but to come on and to provide insight into helping, not just the clients, but the candidates as well is super appreciative. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that got tremendous insight out of this from each and every one of you. So thank you very much for today. I really appreciate it. And hopefully we'll do it again soon. And George, the next time, if we do, we'd like to see those kids do the karate.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you, Peter and Patrick. Thank you, guys. Nice meeting you all.
Absolutely.
Hey, George.
Everyone.
Thank you.
I can help them
Thank
out.
you,
Seeing
everyone.
you all.
Guys, thank you.
Have a
Be
great
safe
evening.
and be healthy. All right. Take care.